Hey everybody, how you doing? Vinny Cuz here. And I know I usually get my videos out on Monday or Tuesday, but today's Friday. Somewhat of a busy week, both on and off the apps, although not much on the apps. Um, we're going to talk today about is it worth driving for Uber and Lyft with these crazy ass gas prices? I mean, it's all the talk of the town right now, right? Every single newspaper is talking about gas prices, gas prices. And it's not just Uber and Lyft drivers, it's DoorDash, Grubhub, Amazon Flex. I mean, if you drive for a living, you really have to ask yourself right now, is it worth doing the rides? Okay, so what I have here is the AAA's national average for fuel across the country. And we can see where gas prices are really getting stout, right? If you live out on the West Coast, Alaska's at 470, Cali's at 480, and this is for 89. Um, I mean, it is expensive. Nevada's over five. You get into the Montanas, the Midwest a little bit, not as bad, but still pretty stout. I don't understand how these are so much cheaper in here because I would think it takes more to get the gas there, but it is what it is. Florida right now we're at 423. I filled up yesterday. I paid 419 using the Get Upside app, and the link is down below if you want to. If you aren't on it yet, you should get on it. Whether you use a link or not is irrelevant, but get on it. It'll save you a couple bucks. And you just kind of look at some of these areas and you're like, wow, fuel is really through the roof. Now, the cause of the fuel prices going up, listen, that's all debatable. I'm going to leave that to the politics. I don't want to get off the rails on this. I've got my own opinions, but we are where we are. So, what I want to do is I want to show you the way that I figure out my money and what it's costing and if it's actually worth driving for Uber or Lyft. So you don't have to take this as biblical. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people do it a lot of different ways. This is just how I do it. And for me, it lets me know where I need to be. All right. So these are my costs. Now, I drive a Cadillac XT6. If you're out there, you're driving a medium to larger SUV and you're on the upper platforms, Lux, Lux Black, Lux XL, Premier SUV, your costs might be around this. And it doesn't matter to me what you're paying. I'm not going to judge. Vehicle prices are through the roof. But this is how I gauge my costs and what I need to make per day, per week, and per month. Keep in mind, I don't do Lyft or Uber full time, nowhere near it. But some weeks when it's hot, you gotta get it. Like right now, we're in spring break, so I got to get this money. Anyway, my car payment $675 a week. If you're driving, like I said, a big SUV, you're in this range or higher. All right. Insurance on my vehicle is about $200 a month, so $675 a month. I think I said a week. $675 a month, 200. That's 875 divided by 30 days in the month on average. My car costs me $30 a day, whether it's sitting in the parking lot, sitting in my garage, or whether I'm driving. So you get the point, right? Your vehicle costs are obviously going to fluctuate. Depends on what you're driving and what platforms you're driving on. All right, right now I got 430 a gallon. I get 24 miles to the gallon on my truck, which is really good. It's right there with Kitty, my CTS. So you do the math on that, it's costing me 18 cents a mile to drive. I average about 200 miles a day when I'm driving for Uber or Lyft. With my private clients, my private businesses, I tend to average a lot more than that. But, I'm getting paid a lot more too. All right. Maintenance. What I do is I take 1% of my monthly payment per day and I add that to my per day cost. So, 675, 1%, $6.75. So when you bring that all together at these gas prices, I got $30 a day for the car, 36 bucks a day for the fuel, 675 a day for the maintenance brings me out to 72.75 per day. This is what my car is costing me. All right. Now, most businesses as a whole operate or used to operate on a 30% margin. If they're making 30% profit on their products after everything is done and paid for, they were considered to be doing really good. Now, that was the 60s, 70s, 80s, and probably into the 90s. The market's a lot more competitive, so they're probably operating a lot on a lot less profit margin. So I know what my bills are. And what I strive to do is make $250 a day with my driving, whether it's through Uber, Lyft, and with my clients, or even with my little courier business. Okay, so if we take $250 a day, minus out my vehicle costs, right? Put me at $177.25. That's what I need to be making a day, whether I'm working or not. And if I'm not working, then this, right, that $250 a day gets spread out over the days that I do work, which obviously is going to raise my per day on those days up. So if we do that, right, and we multiply that out by 30 days, it's pretty good money. It's damn good money. And then if we split that out over a year, puts me at about 63.8 after all my vehicle costs. This is what I have to live on. This has to pay for, well, I don't have childcare, but mortgage, rents, credit cards, whatever it is that you're doing, right? This is good to shoot for. Now, this in South Florida is probably, I don't know, middle class, lower middle class, because our real estate is through the roof. So it's just something to think about. Depending on where you live, use your model, figure out your numbers, and then see at the end of the day if it's worth it to drive for Uber and Lyft. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into earnings. See what I did last week on Uber and Lyft. I can tell you I did a lot more on Lyft than I did on Uber. As we can see here, almost 4 hours, $122. Let's see, let's bring it up. 122 divided by 4, about $30 an hour there. Not terrible for the per hour. But when you start, when we add this all up into what we've been doing and what I need to make per day, you can see why I can't depend on this. This week, I had it on less than an hour, and that was a cancellation. I mean, I got to be honest, Lyft gave me those the 3 additional platforms back, and having Lux Black, and Lux Black XL, it's a game changer for a driver on the upper platforms. You have to have these platforms if you're going to drive these vehicles. You just have to. The money it's unreal. So we had 122 for last week on Uber. Let's see what we did on Lyft last week. Open up the app. Let's get into the earnings. Weekly breakdowns. So as you can see, obviously a lot more. I had the 8 rides on Uber for $122, 27 rides on Lyft for $650, 22 hours there though I put in with them. So if we bring up the calculator and we go out 650 divided by 22, right around $29.50 per hour. But when you look at the book time, and this I think I mentioned in my last video, I personally have to do a better job of being online and being booked. This is huge. This is huge. But understand, not everybody's taken an XL or a Lux Black or a Lux Black XL. Lux Black XLs are unicorns, just letting you know. So before you jump into that, understand you will be waiting. There are going to be times you're going to be waiting. Now, with this being said, I probably wasted, no doubt, and don't laugh, 4.5, 5 hours at the airport because the queues get so low at the airport that, and then you gotta jump on it. Like, I'll show you an example here. Let me pull this up real quick. Bring this over. So when you see something like this, right? It's a $12 attachment, surge, whatever you want to call it. and there's only 6 drivers in there, right? But I was sitting on a $17.75 bonus with the opportunity, a lot of flights, Flight Radar, if you don't have it, you should get it. Flight Radar had a ton of flights coming in. The caveat to this is, and this is why I never recommend doing this unless it's 3 drivers or less, okay, is because when somebody's bringing a passenger into the airport, and if they qualify for these same platforms that you qualify for, they have a better chance of getting rematched right in, right out, because it's a quicker turnaround and it's almost like a reward for bringing somebody to the airport. Although you don't have any choice whether you're going to pick somebody up going to the airport or not, because you don't know. You just don't want to waste that time there. So just something to think about. I would say 4.5, 5 hours I wasted there. I haven't sat at the airport in well over a year and a half. But the week before, I got a really good Lux Black XL from the airport. There were less than 3 Lux Black XLs in the queue. Waited about almost 2 hours. And I wound up catching a $150 ride. So I guess if you spread that 3 hours out from the time I entered the queue to the time I dropped that guy off, it was $50 an hour. So there are times where it's worth it, but for the most times, it's really not. So let's get into where we're at now for this week. I went out. Let's see. Can I show that breakdown? I went out yesterday is when I did the majority of that work. Let's go here. Let's see, activity. I was out yesterday, 6.5 hours, 9 rides, $221. Lux Black, XL, Lux. A couple of passenger canceled in there. Lux Black, XL, Lux Black, Lux. Lux Black. Okay, so, but I want you to notice something else here too. These bonuses that people blow off, don't think they're all that great. Obviously, if it's $8, I'm not going nowhere, right? This was a nowhere ride. 2.5 miles for $14 because of the bonuses. The majority of my rides last night all had bonuses on them. 6.25, 7.25, 8.75, 8.75, right? Hit another streak for $12. Those streaks are important too. So when you look in the app, you've got to see where these streaks are. All of this adds up, and all of this should be dictating when you're working. Okay? The one where I did not, 10.75, $2, right? So all of this little money adds up. Remember, it's only costing me 18 cents a mile to drive. The one that I did not, the only one I did not get a bonus on last night was this Lyft XL. I took an XL to the airport. Husband, wife, their 3 kids. They were going to the airport, heading for Vegas, right? And as soon as I got close to the airport, I wasn't even in the airport yet, I was rematched. So now go back to what I was just saying about sitting in the queue. When I took this ride was, what time was it? This was 6:30. So at 6:30 at night, there's a lot of flights coming in, automatically rematched. So the guys that were in the queue that were waiting on the ride never had a shot at this ride. Just something to think about. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you have multiple sources of income, then yeah, it's all good. You can make some good money, but I wouldn't depend on this, especially in the off seasons. Lyft has been given out. Now, my goals, my bonus streaks for today aren't that great, but look at these. Look at what we got here. $13 bonus. It's 12:50 in the afternoon. There's no school in Broward County today, and we've got $13 ride bonuses. Matter of fact, when I get done loading up this video, I'm taking my ass to work. Anyway, so that's that. If you asked me my honest opinion, I would say it's worth it as long as it's not your full-time job. You have to do your numbers. Go back into the video, watch how I broke everything down, use that as a blueprint, and then run the numbers. Everything in life, everything in business is based on numbers. Math is truth, Numbers don't lie. All right. With that, I'm going to get out of here because this was a long enough video and I got to chop all this up. So peace out. We'll see you next time. Hit that subscribe button down below. Give me a like. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.